So you're getting a brand new Lexus GX550 and you already have grand plans of ruining it with cheap Chinese and American-made aftermarket modifications. Well, hold on, not so fast. Today, I'm going to show you how to modify your new GX550 correctly. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's jump right into it. You're getting a new Lexus GX550 and you already got plans to ruin it. Like most people who modify their Toyota SUV, they're going to put a bunch of cheap Chinese and American-made aftermarket parts on it. Well, today I'm going to show you a better way. Let's cut right to it. People modify their Toyota truck or SUV incorrectly because they put a bunch of cheap Chinese and American junk on a Japanese product, a well-made Japanese product. Now, you wouldn't be here if you didn't believe that Japanese engineering was superior to, say, American engineering or German or European engineering. That's why we like Toyotas, that's why we like Lexuses. But when it comes to modifications of these vehicles, people tend to forget that core principle, and they end up adding a bunch of Chinese nonsense to their Japanese vehicle. And I won't go as far as to say it ruins it, but it certainly doesn't match the overall the overall vibe of your Japanese vehicle. The Lexus LX600 recently entered into the Baja 1000 off-road race. And we're going to compare what most people do as far as modifying their Toyota or Lexus truck versus what the team, the JAOS team, JAOS, which stands for Japanese Off-Road Service, what did they do to modify their Lexus LX600 to enter it in order to compete in this Baja 1000 race? And if we look at the sponsors, you can quickly see the main difference between what most people do and what the pros did to enter this race. The primary difference comes down to the parts chosen to modify their Lexus LX600. This class of race that this Lexus LX600 is entering is called the stock full class, which means the drivetrain is essentially all stock. They can tweak the suspension a little bit, but that twin turbo V6 that's going to be in your GX550, transmission and all the drivetrain stuff has to stay the same. So what did they change? Let's go over it piece by piece and we'll see that there's some better aftermarket vendors that are made in Japan that you should use to modify, or if you want to modify your Lexus GX550. All right, let's cut to the chase and go to what everybody wants to know. The shocks. What did they do to the shock absorbers? Because everybody thinks to modify, you got to add special shocks on your Lexus or Toyota vehicle. So what did they do? What did the Baja team do to their Lexus LX600? They put on KYB remote reservoir shocks, racing shocks. They did not use Fox shocks. They did not use King shocks. They did not use Bilsteins. They used KYB, a Japanese shock manufacturer. They're remote reservoir and they're made for racing. We'll get into that a little bit later. The point of what I'm trying to say is consider using KYB shocks, which, by the way, they are the shock supplier in the top tier Land Cruiser 300 GR Sport. Those are KYB shocks. In fact, all Toyota shocks with AVS are KYB shocks. So they are Toyota / Lexus's top tier shock provider. Tires. Everybody's going to put bigger tires on their vehicle, right? When they want to modify it. So what tires do you use? What did the Rally team use in the Baja 1000 on their Lexus? They used Toyo rough terrain tires. Toyo, again, is a Japanese-made tire. Now, again, we're not saying what tire is better than the other. We're just keeping it Japanese here because you already agree that Japanese do it better. Woo, baby, spin them wheels. What about windshield wipers? People don't think about that, but most racing wipers are PIAA. So instead of getting a Rain-X wiper or something like that, get a Japanese-made PIAA silicone wiper. They're on these race rally vehicles, and they're also on ours. They last at least 3 times longer. Most people get 5 or more years out of them. They're UV resistant, and best of all, they're made in Japan. You're going to see a theme here. You know what the modders like to do. They like to put on light bars and a bunch of lights everywhere to light things up. So you're going to put on lights. Do you get that Chinese aftermarket light? What did the rally team use? They used IPF lights. That is a Japanese LED off-road light company. So you can get now Japanese off-road lights for your Japanese Lexus GX550. What could be better? Japanese brake pads, PMU. That's what the rally team used on this rally vehicle, and they're special racing brake pads. You can put them on your GX550 or your LX600, and you'll have Japanese-made racing brake pads. So the word of the day here is going to be integrity. That's what I'm trying to get out here. The integrity of your Japanese vehicle, and then adding Japanese parts or aftermarket parts to it. That keeps that integrity. Did you know you can even get Japanese motor oil? The racing team use Motys. M-O-T-Y-S, Motys racing oil. That's a Japanese-made, specially formulated racing oil. That's what they use in this rally race. I personally use Idemitsu oil. That's Toyota and Lexus's OEM oil supplier. So the point of all this rambling is not to tell you what you should put on your car or how you should mod it. Instead, do consider that this thing, as you know, is Japanese craftsmanship. And when you start putting on this Chinese-made bumper that's given us nothing but problems, I can assure you it's bad. This thing has torn up our car. Putting on these rock sliders made in America with Chinese parts was horrible. It was an absolutely horrendous experience. Now, I will say the skid plates made by RCI were well made and phenomenal, and we love them. So this is not a knock against Chinese aftermarket products or American aftermarket products. It's simply food for thought and broadening your horizons, so to speak, and your perspective on what type of aftermarket parts are out there. So I'm going to keep it real here. There's no political way to say what I'm saying. Japanese simply do it better. We know that. You're into Lexuses and Toyotas. So get Japanese aftermarket parts for your vehicle and use the LX600 rally car entered in the Baja 1000 as sort of a starting point or inspiration for the type of Japanese off-road aftermarket vendors that you can explore and then use. I can't guarantee it, but I'm sure the Japanese aftermarket parts made by the companies that I mentioned will last you way longer than any American, Australian, or Chinese aftermarket parts supplier. And of course, when we say American-made aftermarket parts, they usually say assembled domestically with domestic and foreignly sourced parts, which is the long way of saying made in China. So there's no nice way to say it. Check out these Japanese parts. I don't think you can go wrong. All right, I've rambled enough. I think what I just want to say, I mean, this comes across as very, it comes across as very just snobbish in favor of Japanese parts and components, but that's the truth. We cannot deny that Toyota, a Japanese company, is the largest automotive manufacturer in the world. We can't deny that they got that reputation through one thing, and that is reliability, quality, longevity, and durability. I'm sorry, that was more than one thing, but they got that reputation worldwide because it's true. So we already know that they're a Japanese company, and we already know that Japanese, generally speaking, make stuff better. So it makes a lot of sense to put Japanese parts on your Japanese car. You might think, well, what's the big deal? So what if I go with the American or Chinese aftermarket part? We've had some horror stories with this bumper in particular and these rock sliders. I'll just leave it at that. All right, if you found this video helpful, please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great, great day.
My door, I've been feeling the boom. This is little after 4. The rest of what that core was really just bored. Yo, break out the sword and let's go cruising in your Ford. Watch out, yeah, sweet snow is the deal. As she shouted, it's the funky lesson 1 to the grill. I should have known that something wasn't right in walking. The biggity boom was just ticking and clocking. A night boy in plaid is passed from his dad. Another straight in the fight, man, but he wasn't from the right clan. Stop all the nonsense, defense is my defense. Oh yeah, I know the motor's daily dense. Time has passed on, but it's been a million days. We're still knifed and divided, running round in haze. Nothing divided. Nothing divided from the century of the cool cat. Diggity down with the cling of the hot hat. Flip that bass and then they knocking at my door. I've been feeling the boom since I put it after 4. So what's up with that core? Was he really bored? Yo, break out the sword. Let's go cruising in your Ford. Yeah, watch out, yo, sweet snow's the deal. As she shouted it out to funky lesson 1 to the group. I should have known that something wasn't right in walking. The biggity boom drum was just clicking and talking. Night boy in plaid passed from his dad. Another straight fight, man, wasn't from the right clan. So stop all the nonsense. Defense is my defense. Oh yeah, I know the motor's daily dense. Time has passed on. It's been a million days. We're still nothing to find and running round and